In May of 2018, my friend and pastor at the time, Kyle Mietzner, asked me if I would fill his spot on a VBS mission team. I hadn't ever been on a mission trip before, so I thought about it for a while and I prayed about it, and then I decided to accept his invitation. A few weeks later, I found myself headed out to a rural village in the Yukon-Kuskokwim River Delta by the name of Nunapitchuk. And as I was riding a boat up the Johnson River into the village, I found myself wondering how I had gotten to that point. I, a Wisconsinite living in Alaska, had been convinced by his pastor, who also happened to be a Wisconsinite living in Alaska, to go teach vacation Bible school in this remote native village on short notice. So to answer the question of how I got there, and all the people in the boat with me got there, we should probably go back to where it all started. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and it was... Oh, I'm sorry. That's too far back. Let's try that again. In the year 2000, Reverend Phil Hillebrand of Beautiful Savior in Mequon took a mission team to Bethel, Alaska. And while on this mission, he met a fellow LCMS member by the name of John Waldman. John was the principal at Anatobaluk Memorial School, the school in Nunapitchuk, and he suggested to Reverend Hillebrand that he bring his mission to Nunapitchuk the following summer. And Reverend Hillebrand ended up doing just that. Fast forward to 2005, and members of Anchorage Lutheran Church in Anchorage, Alaska were invited to join with the team from Mequon on the VBS mission. And then from 2006 to the present, excluding the COVID pandemic years, teams with members from Anchorage Lutheran Church in Anchorage, Alaska, Funny River Community Lutheran in Funny River, Alaska, Lamb of God Lutheran in Wasilla, Alaska, Zion Lutheran in Anchorage, Alaska, and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Hill Point, Wisconsin, all partnered together to build out these teams that go teach Vacation Bible School in Nunapitchuk every summer. The teams are invited annually by the local Moravian Church in conjunction with the village elders and the Lower Kuskokwim School Board. And the mission itself is administered by Alaska Mission for Christ, or as we call it for short, AMC. Alaska Mission for Christ is an outreach arm of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod that spreads the gospel to communities in need via military witness, homeless care, crisis pregnancy support, various building projects, community outreach services, things of that nature. And their ministry in southwestern Alaska covers an area that spans hundreds of miles and is home to 53,000 people. And it first began in 1998 with a couple living on a houseboat on the Kuskokwim River, and has since grown to 16 teams that get sent out every summer. And AMC has plans in the works to build a mission center based in Bethel. Nunapitchuk is a Yupik village in the Yukon-Kuskokwim River Delta. It lies about 300 miles west of Anchorage and is located in an area that used to be a seasonal fish camp for the tribes of the region. In the 1890s, Moravian and Russian missionaries were the first outsiders to visit the area, and in 1920, the current village was established by the survivors of the 1900 flu and measles epidemic. In 1934, the Moravian church in the village was built, and it doubled as a schoolhouse. In 1940, the village first appeared in the U.S. Census, and in 1969, Nunapitchuk and the neighboring village of Kasigluk merged to form a city named Akolmiut. In 1982, Akolmiut dissolved, and Nunapitchuk and Kasigluk separated again. And in 1990, Nunapitchuk reappeared on the U.S. Census. As of the most recent census in 2020, the population of Nunapitchuk is 594, with a K-12 school population of about 200, marking a 20% increase over the previous decade. The region that the village is located in, the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, is a vast tundra spiderwebbed by rivers, which means in the summer, when we're there teaching VBS, the terrain becomes this swampy muskeg, and it also means that there are no roads out there. Buildings in the village are connected by wooden boardwalks. The village itself is serviced by one small general store, and jobs are very few in the village. Most of the residents are subsistence hunter-gatherers and will spend much of their summer camping, which means they head out of the village to hunt and gather food in the surrounding areas. This usually consists of activities such as hunting waterfowl, gathering eggs from nests, and fishing for salmon and whitefish.
And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, insomuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
Now that we know a little bit about the history of the mission and the location of the village, let's talk about the spirit of the mission. The ultimate goal of the mission is to bring hope to a place that in many ways can feel hopeless. Specifically, we're bringing the hope of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Our primary method of spreading the love of Christ is through teaching a week of VBS for the children of the village. But that doesn't encompass everything that we do while on the mission. We organize other community outreach programs during that week in the hours outside of VBS, and they're all vastly popular with the village and eagerly attended by everybody, no matter their age, from elders all the way down to the newborn babes. Adult basketball is really popular because basketball is a massively popular pastime in that area of the world. The Children's Bike Jamboree, really popular event that we put on while we're there. And we also lead a song service at the Moravian Church one day during the week. And then at the end of the week, we do a VBS showcase for the elders of the village. We invite everyone from the village to come, but specifically the elders. And the children sing their songs, discuss the lessons, the teachings that the children had learned throughout the week. So the elders can see what the children had been learning and what they invited us there to do. They can see the fruits of that labor. So then the question is, why do I say that it's a place that can feel hopeless at times? And there are some unfortunate statistics that bear out that sentiment. A third of the families with children living in the village live below the poverty line, which is triple the state percentage and also the highest in Alaska. And that is also double the national percentage, which puts it at top 10 nationally. More than 50% of the households receive food stamps, by far the highest percentage in the nation. They have the highest unemployment rate in Alaska and the fourth highest unemployment rate in the United States. And Alaska Natives have 38% higher incarceration rates and 500% higher suicide rates than the national averages. And on top of that, the village itself is being swallowed up by the Johnson River due to global warming. As global temperatures rise, the permafrost melts and the Johnson River expands and floods boardwalks and buildings, consuming the physical village itself. Some consideration is being put into moving the village a few miles away from the river, alleviate the flooding issues, which means in the near future, Nunapitchuk may no longer stand on the physical land that it's built on right now. Now that we've covered all that, let's talk about the 2023 Nunapitchuk VBS mission. And to do that, we should meet the team. First up, we have Joe and Jonna, who happens to be married to Joe, and Karen, who happens to be sisters with Jonna. The three of them are really the backbone of the mission. They organize all of our travel, our food, our lodging, have the contacts in the village to set up the dates of the VBS mission. They get all of our supplies and the entire team there safely and on time. And Jonna and Karen are instrumental in the lesson planning for the week and setting up the theme, and Karen builds out all the crafts that go with each lesson, and she takes on a lot of the responsibilities when it comes to selecting the music for the week. Without the three of them, the mission really wouldn't function, and for that, all of us on the team are eternally grateful to them because they make our lives so much easier. And then we have Mary, who has a deep passion for music, and her enthusiasm and energy just sets the tone for the rest of the team. Up next, there's Catherine and Amelie, our two newest members. They have a love and passion for music and teaching the gospel to children, and they stepped into their roles on the team with composure and confidence well beyond their years. We have Pastor Eugene Larmy, or Gene. He typically goes on the mission trip with us, but due to some unforeseen circumstances was not able to attend in person this year. He usually leads the devotions during adult basketball, but this year he sent along the devotions in writing, and then Joe and I split the duties of leading our athletes through the devotions during the juice breaks on basketball nights. And finally, there's me, who is very proficient at distributing the toiletries. We've met the team, now let's get them there. Step 1, get to Anchorage, Alaska. Step 2, take one of the 2 commercial flights between Anchorage and Bethel to Bethel. Step 3, charter a bush plane in Bethel to take us on the 20-mile trip to Nunapitchuk. Please sit back and enjoy these videos of what that flight looks like. Step 4, get us from the landing strip in Nunapitchuk to the school. That starts by riding this boat up the Johnson River. Right? Followed by finally transporting all the supplies and people up the boardwalk to the school, typically via four-wheeler. While on the mission, we lease out the school and use the school as the host facility for all of our VBS activities. For basketball, we set up our sleeping areas in some of the classrooms in the school. We convert one of the classrooms into our sort of command center where we plan what we do every day and have all of our family meals with the team all in that command center. The mission team has to lease the school for this week, and we've been blessed to have the Lower Kuskokwim School District waive the lease fee on the lease of the school while we were on those trips. Once we get to the school, we have to hit the ground running, setting up our rooms and then setting up for the week of VBS. This is a schedule of what our week looks like at a glance. As you can see, it's pretty condensed and every day is pretty packed. Nunapitchuk and villages like it use UHF radios to communicate with each other. So every house in the village, or almost every house in the village, has one of these radios. And we use the radio in the school to make announcements about VBS and about the events that we're hosting at the school or outside the school. So here's a quick video of Catherine making the announcement for the first day of VBS.
Good morning, Nunapitchuk. This is Catherine at the school. I invite children, families, and parents to attend Bible school today at the school at 1 o'clock. We will begin with breakfast for the children, announcing Bible school today at the school at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
We actually end up starting the VBS at 1 o'clock, and that begins with feeding the kids breakfast at 1 p.m., which might strike you as a little odd, but when you live in the land of the midnight sun, you stay up pretty late. So by the time we start VBS at 1, the kids will have just recently gotten up and are hungry for breakfast. So that's how we begin. So when we open the doors, the kids come in, register at the table, eat their breakfast, and then they move over and we do some group singing while we wait for everyone to show up. And then once we figure enough people have shown up that there aren't really going to be many more coming in, we start with the Bible lesson of the day and some singing. And from there we branch off into groups based on age. There's a baby group, a group of grade school age kids, and a group of young adults. And each of those groups, we go into more detail about the specific Bible story that we did, and then we do a craft related to that Bible story. And then from there, we transition back to singing some more songs and reiterate what we learned from the Bible lesson that day. And then once we're done with that, we dismiss the kids to go out to the boardwalk where we serve them a snack. Our theme for this year's week of VBS was God's Promises. You can see on that banner across the top of the slide the words God's Promises translated into Yupik. Doing my best to pronounce it without butchering it. Agayudun Akudai. And then outside of VBS, usually in the evenings, we run other community outreach programs. One of these events that we do outside of VBS hours, usually in the evening, is the bike jamboree. So in the years that Joe had been going on the trip to Nunap, he'd noticed the kids riding around the boardwalks on bikes. And in a lot of cases, the bikes were in various states of disrepair. So Joe started bringing a bike repair kit and going around and fixing the kids' bikes. And from that point on, he kind of birthed the idea of this bike jamboree. So what we do now is we invite the kids to bring their bikes in front of the school on the boardwalk, and we spend some time fixing the bikes to the best of our ability, filling up tires, replacing punctured air tubes, fixing chains. And then once we've done all that, we run events for the kids on their bikes, like bicycle limbo or a wheelie contest or some races. And then when that's all done, we give the kids some snack and give away some bike repair items as gifts to the kids. Another really popular evening activity we do is adult basketball. Basketball is a massively popular sport among Native Alaskans. And in the summertime, they don't necessarily have access to the gym to play basketball. There is like a basketball platform outside in the village, but it's not as nice as the gym. So we invite the adults to come play basketball on typically 2 or 3 of the evenings during the week. And then halfway through the basketball hours, we stop and give everyone that's playing juice, and during the juice break, we go through a devotional. Typically, Pastor Eugene Larmy leads that devotional, but this year, Joe and I read through the devotionals that he wrote for us since Gene couldn't attend in person. And the gym is always packed on those nights. The evening song service that we do is typically done on the Sunday night when we get to the village. But this year, our first year back, post-pandemic, our schedule was a little different, so we actually ended up doing that at the end of the week on that Sunday instead of at the beginning of the week on the Sunday. What we do is we go to the Moravian church, and there's a bit of an evening church service, and then we sing some songs, and then we invite members of the congregation or the village who are in attendance to come up and sing whatever songs they like to sing. And there's an array of instruments at the front of the church, and everyone kind of does their part and plays an instrument and picks a song they like. And then there's the capper at the end of the week, our showcase for the elders, where we have the kids show up in the evening. This year we did it at the Moravian church. Sometimes we do it in the school at the gym. And the elders show up, and we have refreshments for the elders, typically cookies and juice, and then gifts for the elders later on. But before we hand out all the gifts, we have the kids sing the songs, that they learned in VBS that week, and we discussed the Bible lessons we taught them in VBS that week and the messages of those Bible lessons. And all the elders that invited us to the village to teach VBS to the children get to see what the children learned throughout the week. So we've covered the history of the mission, the location of the mission, what VBS week looks like, what activities we do. Now let's talk about a few highlights of the week, or at least personal highlights, things that stood out to me. Early on in the week, we were planning what music we wanted to sing with the kids and what specific songs we wanted to teach the kids. And one of them that we had landed on was God Is So Good to Me. And we really wanted to translate the song into Yupik and teach it to the kids in their native language. So one of the elders, Mary Jimmy, came and had lunch with us on one of the days, and we asked her to help translate that song into Yupik for us. And she did some work on it, and then she called up James Berlin, who's the mayor of Nunapitchuk, but is also a translator. The two of them, Mary and James, had worked on the translation team that translated the Bible into Yupik. So between the two of them, they were able to translate the song into Yupik for us, and then we sang it all week with the kids in Yupik. God Is So Good, a Gayun Asirtuk. So let's listen to it in song form. Take it away, Catherine and Amelie.
Agayun asirtuk, agayun asirtuk, agayun asirtuk, asirtuk kwanganu.
Another one of my favorite moments came during some of our downtime in between activities. I'd walked into the kitchen and found Joe mixing up a pitcher of Tang. So I pulled up a stool and I sat down next to him, and each of us poured ourselves a cup of Tang, and we talked for a while. It was nice to get a few moments to talk with Joe because we're good friends and we hadn't seen each other in years due to the pandemic. It was nice to just have that moment of camaraderie and fellowship in one of our moments of calm during the week. Another moment that stood out to me was during our song service. There was a man there that seemed to be blind, and he came up and grabbed a guitar and started singing this song. I recorded a little clip of it. You can't really see him in the video because he's behind the pulpit, but you can definitely hear him, and he is incredibly talented.
Feel him in my feet, I can feel him all over me. 'Cause there's power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb.
One other great little heartwarming moment was while we were waiting on the landing strip in Nunapitchuk for our charter flights to take us back to Bethel. This mother and her children rode up on an ATV and asked us if we could record a video of us singing one of the VBS songs with her kids, so the kids would have the video to watch throughout the year until we came back again the next summer. So here's a video of Catherine singing that song with one of the little girls.
I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison doors, sets the captives free. I'm free! I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up, oh well, splish, splash within my soul. Spring up, oh well, and make me whole. Spring up, oh well, whoosh, and give to me life abundantly. I've got a sets the captives free. I'm free! I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up, oh well, splash, splash within my soul. Spring up, oh well, kush, 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 and make me whole. Spring up, oh well, whoosh, and give to me that life abundantly. Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching, and I implore you, if you're interested in a trip like this, please sign up. It's a wonderful experience. But for now, enjoy this reel of photos from this year's mission trip.
If there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you.